What's up, Cowboy fans? Welcome back to another video. This is a pregame prediction video for the Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington Commanders. Yes, Commanders, not the Washington football team or the Redskins, the Washington Commanders. The Dallas Cowboys are 2-1, Commanders 1-2. Let's go ahead and talk about it.
Down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.
Well, this is the first time that these two teams are meeting, not only this season, but in the entire history of the NFL. If you're not caught up, they were once known as the Washington Redskins. Now they were known as the Washington football team. Now they are the Washington Commanders. So this one's go for the history books. 50 years from now, they're going to want to know who won the first matchup between the Cowboys and the Commanders, and we're all going to be watching Sunday to figure it out. So let's go ahead and jump right on in here. Last time that these teams met, the Cowboys swept them last year. They dominated them. Which, out of all the wins, me personally, out of all the wins last year, I really felt like the Washington football team was probably one of the most fulfilling ones. It was great sweeping the Giants. It's always great sweeping the Eagles. But Mike McCarthy's first year, when Dak Prescott went down and he got injured, we got killed by the Washington football team. It was not even in a way that we could joke about it. It was awful. They beat us to a pulp in Washington. That's when they hurt Andy Dalton, and no one from our team helped him. And then on Thanksgiving, we were humiliated on national TV. So it was great, coming back last year and sweeping them and just demolishing them. It was incredible. Last year, the last game, December 26th, we beat them 56-14. It was just complete domination. A couple of moments before that game even started, we had clinched the NFC East. We had clinched our playoff spot. And just really good memories looking back on it here. But this team looks different, guys. And what I mean by that is they have a new quarterback. They have Carson Wentz, who we're very familiar with because he was once a Philadelphia Eagle. And so they believe Carson Wentz might be the solution. Now, if you look back on my prediction videos, I really did say that the Washington football team at the time had really good defense. They had a really underrated defense. I even said that in my season prediction video, and I still believe that. However, they really need to figure out who their quarterback's going to be, because that's really going to be the thing that elevates them. Taylor Heinicke, as exciting he was to sort of watch, he's just not that guy. He's not the starting quarterback of that team. So them going out and getting Carson Wentz, I believe Carson Wentz is not as bad as a lot of people believe. I think he's solid. I think he just really needs a lot of weapons and talent and coaching staff around him, but he can get the job done, so to speak. And so them getting Carson Wentz, I thought that was a pretty solid move for them. There's rumors that they were trying to get Jimmy Garoppolo. That's even worse. I mean, that falling through is worse for them. I think Jimmy Garoppolo would have been great for this team. However, so they're sitting at 1-2. And they've, after winning the game against Jacksonville, they won their season opener. They dropped 2 straight games, and now they find themselves in a game where they need it. They need this game to get back to 500, but also to sort of just salvage their season and their expectations and their confidence in themselves. And so let's go ahead and dive right on in. Let me pull up my notes here as we talk a little bit about this showdown. Really what it's going to come down to, in my opinion, is really our defensive line against their offensive line. Well, I'll talk a little bit about our offense and my expectation for that with Kellen Moore, Cooper Rush, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott. But let's go ahead and talk about this matchup. Our defensive line versus their offensive line. Right now, the Washington football team, the Washington Commanders, I got to keep reminding myself, the Washington Commanders had an awful day last week. Just look at the tape, watch the highlights. They allowed 9 sacks. Holy crap. 9 sacks is just insurmountable. That is insane. As talented as I believe the Cowboys defensive front is, I don't think we're going to get 9 sacks. That's insane. And if we do, oh my gosh, there's something. I'm more concerned for the Washington Commanders than I am excited if we get 9 sacks. So 9 sacks, which puts them at a total for 15 sacks on the season, and 53 quarterback pressures on Carson Wentz. The media loves to talk about Joe Burrow and his health, and right now as I make this video, he just won Thursday Night Football against the Miami Dolphins. But let's talk about that for Carson Wentz's health. Oh my gosh, you need to protect your quarterback. That is not what you want to see. You're averaging 5 sacks per game at this point. And so you bring that into the mix against the Dallas Cowboys. Their defensive front just looks really good right now. 13 sacks on the season. And honestly, if it's not Micah Parsons, it's DeMarcus Lawrence, who had 3 sacks on Monday Night Football against the New York Giants. And if it's not DeMarcus Lawrence, it's Dorrance Armstrong. And if it's not Dorrance Armstrong, it's maybe Dante Fowler Jr. And I'll even say, if it's not even him, could it just be Sam Williams, our recent draft pick from this past draft class? The Dallas Cowboys have a lot of talent and a lot of strength. I mean, the defensive line right now is the biggest strength for the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm talking about overruling wide receivers, quarterback, running back position, any kind of position that you're going to throw out. The defensive front is easily their strongest point of the football team, and that's exactly where the game starts and ends, is in the trenches. And so this is where the matchup begins. This is where the matchup, I believe, also ends as well. Is, will the Dallas Cowboys be able to establish that pressure that you saw not just in Monday Night Football against the New York Giants, but as well as against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals? You saw how it disrupted their play calls and their offensive rhythm and their offensive game flow. But we even saw it a little bit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And so my prediction is, it's simple. It just won't. I think the Washington Commanders will have a better showing this week, just because I like to give respect to the fact that they are professionals and they do not want to repeat that same effort that was done to them on their home turf last week. So they're going to come here with an edge. They may come out here a little bit fired up. They may get something going here in the first quarter. It may look like something, but do not be deceived. This is not a trap game. This is not a trap game. A trap game is how we all felt when the Cowboys played the Jets a couple years ago when they were 0-4 and we completely dropped an egg on that one. This is not a trap game. The Commanders are not the worst team in the NFL. They're capable of being competitive, and we're probably going to see it here in the first quarter, to be honest. Defensively, offensively, and their offense, they're a passing offense. You look at the statistics, Carson Wentz has 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions to the Dallas Cowboys. How many passing touchdowns have the Cowboys scored this year? 2. So Carson Wentz has thrown 5 more touchdowns than the Cowboys have in total with their passing touchdowns, because Cooper Rush has only thrown both of those, because the Cowboys only scored 3 points the first time, had no touchdowns. And so, and it be noted too that they're 9th in the NFL in passing, as the Dallas Cowboys are 24th in passing. So we're probably going to see them lean on that a little bit more. I'm not expecting any deep balls or anything like that. Expect them to get the ball out of Carson Wentz's hands quick. They do not want to deal with that pass rush. They want to get rid of it quick, but then it's going to fall on that secondary. And I just really trust our secondary, because not only do we have Trayvon Diggs, Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis, but also there's a strong possibility, as I make this video, that Jaron Kearse will be back. And Jaron Kearse brings a great energy to this defense, not only just his presence and his playmaking ability alone, but he brings something special to Washington week. And so I'm really excited to see Jaron Kearse hopefully back. Again, I make these videos Thursday, they're released Friday, so there's some news that I'm missing that comes out on Friday and Saturday, but so be it. So my prediction, I think the Dallas Cowboys hold the Washington Commanders under 20 points again. I think Micah gets back on track. I'm going to say maybe 2 sacks. I'll say 2 sacks, and I think a total of 3 sacks. So I think one more gets in there. Cowboys get 3 sacks on total for the day. And I'm going to say Trayvon Diggs gets an interception. I'm feeling an interception. I'm going to say we get 2 interceptions, but Trayvon Diggs definitely gets one of them. And so that's my prediction. I feel like the Cowboys defense takes care of this offense. It may look a little something in the first quarter, but I think the Cowboys handled their business defensively on Sunday. So let's go and talk about the offense. It's all about the running game. It's all about the running game. I talked about it in the post-game reaction video for the Giants. The balanced running attack was tremendous. And I really feel like we found the formula for this offensive line. And I'm even more excited because we have Connor McGovern coming back. And I'm really excited to see how much more involved we incorporate Jason Peters, because Jason Peters played the guard spot, and we all saw the play. He was put in the guard spot. We ran Tony Pollard behind him, and Tony Pollard broke off for the biggest run of the season. And I really want to see more than just 1 or 2 drives from Jason Peters. I'm really expecting a couple more drives, maybe several, 4 or 5, something like that. I expect him to play a good portion of the game. And that really is where this line is at its strongest. And I feel like we're really finally getting this rhythm. The only thing that could hold the Cowboys back from winning this game, believe it or not, is the Dallas Cowboys. The offensive play calling, I'm always going to talk about this. As long as Kellen Moore has that headset on and he has the play sheet and he is calling as the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, what kind of game plan is he coming into this? You cannot get too fancy just because we got 2 games in a row. Just stick to good old-fashioned Cowboys football. Run it with Pollard. Run it with Zeke. Control the clock. You have your offensive line right now. It is at its healthiest that it's going to be this season with everyone back. Just run it. Just trust it. Don't try to throw it. Don't try to force throws or force the pass game with Cooper Rush. Allow the game to come to him and just keep running that ball. It gives us our best chance at winning the game, and we've seen it the past 2 weeks there. And kudos, I'm talking about Kellen Moore. I'm talking about his game plan, but we got to give kudos to Kellen Moore here in the past couple of weeks. The way that he's been able to adjust the game plan to fit Cooper Rush's gunslinger play style has been very good. You guys know me. I'm really not the biggest Kellen Moore fan, but I got to give kudos to the way that he has adjusted the play call and approached it that way. It's really given us our best chance to win the past 2 weeks. Also, we're getting Michael Gallup back. We're getting Dalton Schultz back. So a lot more weapons to play with there. But also, I think that's just really going to help the offense flow. It's just really going to help that having Michael Gallup back, getting those passes, getting those touches. Because I'm looking at last game here. I really honestly believe we're probably getting the same results if Dak Prescott's in the game. And that's not to say or to give any validation to the ridiculous argument of Cooper Rush versus Dak Prescott. It's for the fact that you look at any of those passes that were made on Monday night against the Giants, Cooper Rush nailed them. He put them down. He put it right in their hands. But the thing was, these receivers dropped it. I'm talking about CeeDee Lamb with his drop. I'm talking about Jalen Tolbert with his drop. Even if you have Dak Prescott back there throwing those passes and he's going to make those passes, they're still dropping them. And so, even if Dak Prescott's in that game, I think we're getting a similar result. And so there's no need to push it through Cooper Rush, force that passing game again. Just rely on the running game, run it with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott. And I promise you, you're going to win if you do that. And I don't think their defense is just as talented or strong enough to stop that if we can just really win on the trenches defensively and offensively and control the game and win the game. Last but not least, I talked about it here, penalties. God dang penalties, man. You look at that Giants game. It should have been 14-3 at the half. It should have been 17-6 at the whatever. The only thing that got in the way were these ridiculous penalties, false starts, illegal shifts, just ridiculous. This needs to stop. I don't know if this is still a Mike McCarthy thing or if this is just a player thing. These penalties need to stop. They are ridiculous at this point, and they are literally holding us back. You look at that Giants game, it disrupted the entire first half and how we were able to gain confidence. We cannot do that again. This is a perfectly winnable game for the Dallas Cowboys with the game plan that they've been using for the past 2 weeks. This is something that they can walk away, and it is totally in their hands for the Dallas Cowboys to walk out of this and be 3-1. The only thing that's going to stop them, it's not going to be Carson Wentz. It's not going to be their defense. It's going to be themselves. It's going to be the Dallas Cowboys, and if they can play turnover-free football, and if they can not make dumb penalties, yes, they can win this game, and I believe they can win it decisively, and so I'm going to lean on that side, and I'm going to trust the Cowboys, and I'm going to trust that Mike McCarthy gets his guys ready because this is not a trap game, and he knows that. He's going to have these guys prepared mentally, physically, so my prediction is I got the Cowboys winning 27-19. I got the Dallas Cowboys going 27 points, Washington Commanders 19 points. Keeps on with the record that we're holding our opponents under 20 points. I just think this is pretty decisive. I think it's probably going to be like 27-12 going into the fourth quarter, going into the final 2 minutes, and just like garbage passes, garbage touchdowns to get the Commanders up to 19 points. But this is a pretty decisive win. It's going to work really well in our favor because at this point we would have 2 wins in the NFC East, going 3-1, going into 2 very important games against the Los Angeles Rams, and then after that, the Philadelphia Eagles. At that point, we probably should have Dak Prescott back, and we would have survived. We would have kept the ship afloat and given our best chance. But other than that, go ahead and comment down below your score prediction. Be sure to like and subscribe for more Dallas Cowboys content. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, and I will see you guys next video. And go Cowboys!
Looking down the field, Lamb, 10, 5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.